there's this one part of his team that has basically been stuck since I think like September of last year, because they've got one developer really trying to work out the redesign of this system, and it just keeps on. It was supposed to be done in like a month, and it's still going on. And it's just like, I don't know what to do. We're stuck. Like, we cannot move, because we could do individual bug fixes, but this one rewrite is supposed to fix like 15 things, and so for fixing individual bugs, we're using our limited resources in one area. And he's not a technical like founder either, and he's just like, I don't want to fire him because he's the one who has it all loaded in his brain. He actually understands the code, but like, this is getting ridiculous. I kind of feel like I'm hamstrung. I don't know what to do in this area.
Yeah, like I could rattle off a bunch of suggestions to you, and it doesn't actually fix anything.
What would you suggest to somebody in this situation? So I don't know what the code base was that he was
yeah
using.
I mean, the trick is, anytime you have one developer on something, you've got a small problem. You've only got one developer working on something. In super small teams, sometimes it's unavoidable, but especially like when it's one of those things where you have to rewrite a big chunk of something, a lot of times that person probably could use a pair or a partner to work with and knock ideas back and forth on. Pair programming is a huge thing because it enables people to work much faster and much more efficiently on a single problem. It allows you to, you don't get ×2 productivity, but you get 1.5, and that a lot of it can really help people. I know a lot of companies that just rely on pair programming for all development. Another thing is maybe this person's locked in and having difficulties with the constraints. One of my questions from a business angle is sure, you've sent this person to rewrite this, but before they went to rewrite this, did you define all the business requirements of this well? Does this person understand all the business logic and business requirements behind this rewrite? Or are they stuck having to invent it as they're going along? This is one of those things where in software development, your business requirements, your business developments, the input from your shareholders is super important. And a lot of times people, management doesn't think about how empowering it is to the developer to have those well-defined, exactly what those requirements are, what this needs to do exactly, so that you don't end up in bloat. Because it's real great, especially when rewriting software. Rewriting software is a trap. It's such a dangerous trap. And because it feels great to rewrite some code, it feels great to do a refactor. Refactors are super powerful and super valuable, but they're a trap. If they're not incredibly well defined, you can end up taking a task that does this and doing this because it feels right at the time and it feels like it would be best. But your refactor really needs to be scoped specifically, and within good parameters. Otherwise, I could make a refactor that would just blow. I don't have arms big enough for that.
Yeah. So pair programming, really, really hone in on the scope. Is there any other things that you'd suggest?
I mean,
those sound like those alone might.
Those are two really big things to sit down and define and discuss scope, and also bring in a pair to work with.
I know he just had them in town actually, and they had a big some big talks and whatnot. So that might be getting closer to where it needs to be.
Yeah. And it's really easy to sit and beat up a programmer who's not, especially as a programmer who's not delivered before more than once. It's really easy to beat up on them and make them feel worse. And that doesn't actually fix anything.
Yeah. Well, I was sharing an experience with him about a programmer we had at Asian Efficiency, and how he just sort of went dark on us a couple times. And I think a lot of the darkness where it came from was he really wanted to ship and felt like, I think his perfectionism was getting in the way, possibly distractions as well. He was a little bit more of a distractible guy. And since he didn't have something to deliver, he just like hid away and just didn't hop on Slack
Man,
and
you know what?
didn't communicate over email or anything like that.
I really feel that person. I don't want to be that person, but I really feel, and I've
Oh, I
talked,
do too. I
and it's
That's
one of those
totally
things
happened
where
with me more times than I'd like to admit. Where it's just like,
it's
no, I want to have something to give somebody, so I'm not going to talk with them until I have something to give them.
so one of the some other tips that I can offer, especially when you talk about like someone who's going dark and doing stuff like that or having problems.
Yeah,
Um, it's real easy for developers to overcommit,
yeah.
especially if they're not super experienced. They'll even like my senior developer, the guy who's been writing code since he's been, since he figured out language, still overcommits. And so one of the things that everyone loves and hates at the same time is stand-ups, progress check-ins.
Mm-hmm.
And these are only as effective as how well you do them. And it's a stand-up is all about taking a few minutes every morning and telling everyone exactly what you're working on. Not
Mm-hmm.
what you're kind of working on, not what the abstract is, but actually sitting in front of your developer saying, I'm working on the Habitat project. I currently am working on trying to get the Habitat package properly built in the CI system and shipped to a server. I am currently at the CI server level, not shipping to a server. I have no blockers I have a blocker, which is the Habitat product not working very well. And or you say I have no blockers, I'm just working on this and it's just taking me forever. But having that little micro update of knowing not only am I working on the refactor, but what am I actually working on in the refactor? And if that answer doesn't change from day to day, clearly this person's stuck and not stepping out about it. The whole point of a stand up is to force people to evaluate exactly where they stand and do the GTD method and do the where am I? Why am I stuck? Or am I stuck? And why am I stuck? Is it because I don't have the resources? Is it because I don't have oh man, I forgot to take out the trash. I just heard the trash truck.
Uh,
Or I don't have enough, this, that, and or the other thing, or is this, what's my stress points? You're stand-ups make developers sit down and evaluate the thing that they're copying from each day to each day in front of everyone, and it
mhm.
opens up the opportunity for someone else to say, I got you, fam.
Yeah, yeah.
And so stand-ups, when done properly, are a great resource when you have developers who are really deep into something, because it makes it gives them the chance to sit and report on their progress so that people can see they have progress, because it's real easy to, as a developer, to have nothing to show except for code, and code doesn't mean anything until it runs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, being able to just be like, here's this, I think that's super valuable. I've seen people do stand-ups wrong, where they don't actually make people talk about exactly what they're doing in the project and evaluate exactly why they're still on that thing in the project, and that's where it starts to lose value. If it's just I'm still working on Habitat, well,
Yeah.
that's not.
And I don't know where the dev team stands on this, but overall the company has a daily stand up, and part of the structure he was trying to change was the daily stand up didn't have any accountability. They just had a fresh Google Doc with each day, and everyone just said, I'm working on this, I'm working on this. They like didn't go back to the day before or anything
Yeah,
like
that's not really. And I hate to be judgy, but that's not really a stand-up. I mean,
that.
you've kind of thrown some of the spirit of a stand-up in there.
Yeah.
But if it's just a Google Doc people type in, that's just like a really cheap accountability system.
Hmm.
It's not everyone getting in front of everyone for 5 minutes and doing the thing. On a small team, even on a big team, a stand-up should never take more than 2 minutes per person.
Hmm.
Like, because normally every person like has a minute to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. Those are helpful. Do you mind if I cut like that last 5 minutes out and share that with them?
Oh
As
yeah, go for it.
Cool. Cool. Because I think that something in there will likely
Yeah.
will likely
And
click.
I don't know exactly what they're doing and how
Oh,
to
exactly. I mean, you're speaking
that.
abstractly. Like he's
Right.
a programmer on some programming language is stuck on a
Yeah.
project. Like, yeah.
But
But as somebody who's been doing it for
20 years.
20 years, whoa,
Wait,
yeah,
well,
for
wait. Yeah, almost 20 years.
yeah, some time. I think any fresh perspective would be useful.